Warframe has many tools to make your life easier, but one tool that has not been getting that much attention is the use of Specters. Specters are special allies and can be copies of your Warframe loadouts, which can be summoned in any mission where gear is enabled, and they grant the use of several very good Warframe abilities outside of using the helmet system. In this guide, I will walk you through the use of Specters, where to get Specters, how to build your Specter loadouts, and I will highlight what I think are the most useful Specters to have. Specters are consumable gear and can be farmed from any rescue missions. Based on how well you perform the rescue and the level of the rescue mission, different levels of Specter blueprints will be granted at extraction. Your performance is based on hidden points, which you can acquire during the rescue mission. The first point is awarded for extracting the rescue target, which will always be gained unless you fail the mission. Another point is awarded for killing all warden enemies, which are indicated by a special visual appearance and a respective enemy label above their health bar. Finally, a point is awarded if you rescue the target without triggering the execution sequence. This will be triggered whenever you trip any of the alarms or when a warden is notified of your presence, after which they will activate the alarm themselves. This means that a stealthy approach by using frames such as Wukong with Cloudwalker or Ivara with her Prowl augment will be your best friend, as these will bypass most alarm systems in the game. For builds, I would suggest any weapon with a silencing mod, and for me personally, I prefer Wukong over Ivara, based on the movability that Wukong provides. On Wukong, I use this build with Firewalker on his 4th, for increased speed during Cloudwalker and light CC when hacking terminals. And this build would function as a budget version if you are just a Tenno starting out on your journey through the Origin system. As I said before, the type of Spectre you get also depends on the level of the enemies found in said rescue mission. I will show a table of Spectre drops on the screen right now. Please feel free to pause the video to have a detailed look. As you can see, there are 4 levels of Spectres indicated by stars. Sorted by an increasing level of stars, these Spectres are called the Vapor, Phase, Force, and Cosmic Specters, respectively. Besides these Specters, there's also a hidden Spectre variant called viewers of my videos that are not subscribed to the channel. As you can see, there are 95% of you, so please, if you enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop for advanced Warframe tactics. Now let's get back to our Spectre friend. All of the different types of Specters will be crafted in decreasing amounts of usable Specters, with Vapor blueprints making 10 Specters, Phase blueprints 5, Force blueprints 3, and Cosmic blueprints giving you only a single Spectre to use in missions. All blueprints are consumables, meaning that they can only be used once. All Specters have an 8-hour crafting time. All different Spectre levels can be equipped in the gear wheel simultaneously, but only one of these Specters can be summoned at any given time, with the latest summon overwriting a previous one. Even though Specters have levels associated with them, in missions, Spectre level will barely matter, as spawn Specters will scale to the enemy level which they are spawned at. This also means that over time your Spectre level will stay the same while enemy levels rise, if you are playing one of the endless mission types. When deciding what Warframe setup to imprint onto any specific Spectre type, I would advise the following. For Spectre builds that are versatile in all mission formats and Specters that you summon very often, imprint these on Vapor Specters. For Spectre builds that are more specialized but still require resummoning when pushing high enemy levels, imprint these on Phase Specters. For situational Specters that you only summon sporadically, imprint these on Force Specters. And finally, for Specters that you just want to try out, or for Specters that have very limited situational use, imprint these on your Cosmic Specters. Now let's get into what you can expect from Specters in your missions. Specters will inherit abilities that are innately present on any frame, regardless of whether you imprint a loadout with a helmet ability present. However, Specters will not continuously cast their abilities. Instead, they have specifically set cooldowns on abilities and specific requirements for the abilities to be cast. The list of these cooldowns and requirements is incredibly extensive, and going through the entire list will require me to put Subway servers and Family Guy clips overlaid on this video. So instead, I will direct you to the wiki page linked in the description below. Important to note is that some abilities will not be cast by Specters, such as Shadows of the Dead and Desecrate by Necros, and there are more examples of this found on the wiki. Besides casting abilities, Specters are also able to shoot their guns or melee weapons that you equip on them. On the guns, they inherit the basic function of the weapons, including some of the unique traits, such as the tentacles grabbing enemies from the proboscis Cernos. However, equipped mods nor progenitor elements will be carried over for any of the Tenno Specters. Damage will scale with the Spectre level. which, as previously mentioned, scales with the enemy level when the Spectre is spawned. Sadly, Specters will not shoot their weapons indefinitely, as they do use up ammo, which means that ammo should be picked up by letting the Spectre move or by using ammo pans. By far the best Warframe to imprint on a Spectre is Dante. The Dante Spectre is able to cast his Overguard ability and status damage increase, both of which are incredibly powerful. Especially his Overguard ability practically gives you invulnerability. On top of this, Overguard provides knockdown immunity, which means the use of Dante Specters can practically replace the use of every Warframe content creator's favorite mod, Primed Sure-Footed. Dante for me will always go into the Vapor Specters. The second Spectre I use very often is the Volt Spectre. I use this Spectre in survival camp setups as the Spectre casts Electric Shield on cooldown whenever an enemy is within its line of sight. Volt's electrical shield will block all incoming damage from bullets and even blocks the fire damage that you can get from fire Exami. I use Volt on the Phase Specters. The Spectre I use as Force Spectre can differ as there are still plenty of good options left. On Force Specters I usually imprint any of the following frames, listed in no particular order. Jade, who casts all of her abilities giving you 25% extra power strength, armor strip and damage vulnerability. Citrine, who also casts all of her abilities providing you up to 90% damage reduction, crit chance buffs, status chance and duration increases, and additional energy and health orbs from her 1, and all of that on top of her 5 health per second regen from her passive. Nidus, mostly for Parasitic Link, giving you 28% extra ability strength, which is slightly higher than Jade's buff. Banshee, who can cast Sonar and Silence, of which the latter can be really handy when dealing with Acolytes or Eximus units. Harrow for energy regen, a small period of invincibility and crit chance buffs. Octavia, who offers her enemy distraction, buffs from Metronome and a damage buff from Amp. Protea, mainly for providing health, energy and ammo through Dispensary. Wisp for casting her motes. While even though they are randomly cast, you usually end up with all 3 of them at one point or another, which can provide a fire rate increase, an attack speed increase, a movement speed boost, crowd control from shock mode, and finally passive health regen with increased maximum health from the health mode. Stynex is also a good pick, as his rally point ability will be able to provide you with passive energy regen and shield regen on kill. Finally, for the Cosmic Spectre, I would recommend using any of the 4 Spectre choices, but in general I can't recommend building and using any of the Cosmic Specters, as you only get one at a time and the differences between the Specters in terms of survivability and damage are negligible. This pretty much covers all of the things that I wanted to discuss about the Tenno Specters, but we still have some other Specters left as well. First, there's the Syndicate Specters. Every Syndicate has its own type of Spectre, which you can acquire by using standing or by looting them whenever you are invaded by a negatively aligned Syndicate in one of your missions. The Arbiters of Hexes will offer you a corrupted Lancer Spectre. These Lancer Specters will fight independently of where the player heads towards, and it will cast a Heat Blast ability that will knock down any enemies that get into line of sight of your Spectre. Cephalon Suda offers a Shield Osprey Spectre, which provides you with a plus 25% maximum shield and an increased shield gate duration, and coming in range of the Spectre will instantly restore your shields. Redville has the Charger Specters, which will rush ahead and fight independently of where the player is heading. However, due to this specific AI, they have the tendency to rush ahead and just die themselves, which makes them a lot less useful. Steel Meridian has Roller Specters, which have an energy leech aura. In total, you can get up to 9 energy per second back if there's enough enemies being hit by the energy leech effect. From New Loka, you can get the Ancient Healer Specters, which, in my honest opinion, are the best Specters out of all of the Syndicate Specters. Ancient Healer Specters will grant 90% damage reduction and stagger and knockdown resistance to any allied units within 10 meters. Furthermore, the damage reduction is also extended to defense targets. However, in this case, it's only 50% compared to the 90%. It can also knock down enemies with a blast wave, just like the Corrupted Lancer Spectre. Finally, the parent sequence has Moa Specters. Moa Specters will spawn a frost-like globe, which you cannot shoot through, compared to Frost's current globe. This is because the Moa Specters still use the old coding for the Frost globe, where you can only shoot through it if you are actually inside of it, and not if you are outside of it. If I were to rank these Specters of the Syndicates, I would personally think that the Ancient Healer is the most versatile, and I would put it on the number 1 spot, followed by the Osprey Spectre, the Moa Spectre, the Roller Spectre, and finally the Charger Spectre. Hello, editing Casey here. I forgot the Lancer Spectre, but this would slot in between the Roller Spectre and the Charger Spectre at place 5. Besides the Syndicate Specters, there's also some more miscellaneous Specters left to discuss. First, we have the Clam Clone, which is obtainable from Darvo's weekly mission. You can find Darvo in any of the relays. Just as a quick side note, he's a massive scammer, so don't buy anything from this guy. Then there's the Corrupted Heavy Gunner and the Corrupted Bombard Specters from Barrow Kitir, which can be bought if he brings them for 100 ducats and 40 or 50,000 credits respectively. While the Syndicate Specters will grant you 5 Specters per crafted blueprint, these Miscellaneous Specters will only result in a single Specter for a single blueprint. And these blueprints are also consumed upon use, making them a relatively bad investment for your ducats. Besides these Specters, you also have the on-call Crewmate, which is a Railjack member you can buy from Ticker in Fortuna and equip a loadout on. This Crewmate will always be available for you to summon and will be able to be summoned an infinite amount of times, without having to recraft. Furthermore, the weapons selected on the on-call crewmate will inherit any of the mods that you put on it, which makes them a very versatile tool. All of this, of course, sounds amazing, but they will only be around for 3 minutes, after which they will have a 10-minute cooldown. Finally, I want to discuss the newest addition to our family, our age-old rival, but now turned friend, the Stalker. The Stalker got an infinitely reusable Spectre blueprint, which you can get from the current Nightwave at level 6. This Spectre behaves a bit differently compared to most of the other Spectres, as it will actively seek out enemy targets instead of adhering close to the player. This means he can be a great anti-aggro tool to take some heat off you in tricky scenarios. But this also means he could easily hold up missions like defense, where you ideally want to funnel enemies towards yourself as quickly as possible. Nonetheless, the infinite nature of the blueprint is a warm welcome compared to some of the other Spectre blueprints which are consumed upon crafting. Then I also want to discuss some Specter-like Allies. Besides the Specters which you can summon, there's also other Specter-like units in the game. First, there's Equinox, who can use her first ability, Metamorphosis, paired with the augment mod Duality to spawn herself as a Spectre. Here, all equipped mods are taken into consideration, and you get an added 300% damage bonus. However, the Equinox Spectre will only use the weapon which you are using when you cast Metamorphosis. Second is Wukong's clone, which you can spawn by using the ability Celestial Twin. Your clone will inherit all of the mods equipped on your Warframe and weapons, and opposed to Equinox, is able to cycle through all of your equipped weapons and use them. Finally, there's Excalibur Umbra, which will roam free after you transference into the Operator. Umbra will function the same as Wukong's clone, using all of your equipped weapons, taking into account the mods applied on them. And he will also use all of his abilities, except for Exalted Blade. This pretty much covers all of the Spectre-type enemies in Warframe, except for the Desert Sandskate, which is one of the Specters of all time. And I know that I have also not covered summonable Liches in this video, but I might cover these in a separate video. Finally, there's one small factoid that I didn't know where to put in the video, but it concerns summoning Specters in Nightmare missions. In Nightmare missions, Specters will actually turn against the player, so I wouldn't advise using them. Exceptions to this rule are the other Specter-like allies that you can get from Excalibur Umbra, Wukong and Equinox, as I've just discussed. So to summarize, Specters are in the best case a free legal cheat code, and in the worst case a pet that you have to continually babysit. If you do want to use Specters, I would highly recommend Dante, Citrine and Volt, as well as the Ancient Healer Spectre from the Syndicates, and of course the best Spectre of all, Clem. If you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new, don't forget to leave a like. With that, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. As always, thanks to all channel members for supporting the channel. If you are looking to become a member, please find the join button below the video.